Hey friends, it's Julie from Plan to Create, and I am here today to walk you through some of my pages from March. You're going to see this guy is my familiar Hemlock and Oak that I dismantled and switched into the disc system because I like to flip the pages in and out as I work with them. I like to work on a flat surface, so this just works really nicely for me. They come bound in a beautiful book. These here are my daily pages, and you can see I've just been slowly taking them apart and adding them here into this system instead. I have some changes to this that I will be talking through today, so kind of stay tuned and see what I've been up to with that. And then this is a familiar friend that just keeps coming back to me. I have a Hobonichi Cousin basically from 2020 to now 2024. None of them are actually complete, like an entire year in this system. So I am feeling very determined this year. As I look back through my old books, I feel like I can locate the information I'm looking for quickly. I like the familiarity of it, the consistency of it from, year to year, month to month, week to week, day to day. And so I am back in this guy and just kind of giving myself permission to refigure out how I want to use it. And I will kind of walk you through some of that process. This is not something that I necessarily want to share on a regular basis. I'm starting to feel more and more like, planners have a very personal nature to them. And I'm just kind of needing for it to be like a little space that I can just work out my thoughts, particularly in the daily pages. The weekly pages, I'll explain a little bit more as I go through how I'm using them and, what I'm kind of comfortable sharing and what I'm not. But that's where I'm at right now, kind of juggling myself between these two guys. And like I said, big changes in here. And I'll just kind of jump in and get started. I have my Hobonichi Cousin here in a VDS. I believe this is just a codex. Yeah, like it's just there. I did not customize it at all. It is the beige Krakow, and I chose the velvet sand interior. If any of you know me or have followed me for a while, I regret that. I now would pick more of an Alizon cover. I think it would be a little bit more forgiving. This one literally, like if your fingers have any moisture, it will pick up everything. And so that was kind of a bummer. And then once it started to pick up a couple of things, then I literally licked a pencil eraser and just started to dot, to try to see if it would make it less conspicuous. Nope, it just looks bad. So yes, I know that this is gross and I am somewhat embarrassed to share it, but also it's what I'm using right now. And it's, an investment in a planner that I'm not willing to just entirely throw away because of a few little marks. So getting that out of the way, I have been using primarily just dots and little checkmark stickers, so I like to keep them handy here. I use a lot of lightly inked. She has these cute little pom-poms. I use a lot of the planner spot, just plain regular dots. And then I like these little check marks from Sweet Caress, and I have all of these in multiple colors, not all of them here in my cover, but I do keep the ones that I use often here. And then the other stickers that I like to use in my planner are these little cafecitos. I think that they're super cute. I just selected ones that represent my life. So I do some reading, some birthday celebrations, some happy mail, and that's kind of pretty much it. Those are the cover or the topics that I like to have covered. I have the stencil from the planner spot, which I don't use very often, but kind of have it handy because it's nice to have tucked there. And then these stickers from Lightly Inked. I'm almost out of these, but they are some of my favorite, and they go very nicely with the neutral Tombow colors that I like to use in the front of my planner. When I say the front, I mean basically the monthly and weekly. I try to keep pretty neutral, but then this gives you a nod to the colors that I like to use in my daily pages. So I'm kind of all over the map in this book, and I'm okay with that. First things first, and I do use some little icons. So I have them from Planner Fluent, and I usually have some icons from the Planner Spot as well, but I'm using less and less little icons, just, using them very strategically, I guess. Okay, let's talk about how I'm using these pages. This is nothing to see here particularly, but on days that I close my rings on my Apple Watch, I like to add a little dot. And I realized that it was really nice for me to be able to see last year's as well. I can kind of compare, how am I doing? I actually track the total number of days that I've closed my rings. And I want to preface this by saying that I am not a hard, fast, how do I want to say it? I'm trying to be very gentle on my body and very gracious to myself. I'm approaching 50. My body doesn't look the way it did when I was 30. And I mean, I think some of us can be hard on ourselves for that and like try to work it off via exercise or movement. And I have really been working on changing my framework in the sense of like, yes, I want to move my body, but not necessarily for results that I'm looking for on the exterior. And I feel like I need to say that because I feel like a lot of people, I think in my 30s, I spent a lot of this focus really, hoping for a change on my body. And I just want to like say, if you're in your 30s, like really embrace yourself. It's like your best years, like it's not going to get better necessarily. So just don't sit and like be too hard on yourself and try to work yourself into a smaller body. Maybe there's just a point where we accept ourselves that our bodies are this size and that we're just taking good care of them where they're at. I don't know why this is very non-planner related, but that's just where I am, and I want to send that message because I think that I'm tracking some of these numbers and some of my steps, and I don't want to send the wrong idea that that's like a hyper focus of mine. It's just information that I enjoy looking back on to kind of compare, contrast, very neutrally, very not being hard on myself, but just like, a lot of self-acceptance happening here, but also just like, what did the numbers say? So that is what I'm using these pages for. You can see I have a little cloth and paper flag here. It just says rings closed, and this just helps me find this page when I'm coming from the back of my planner. This next section I am using as a tracker. I went back and backfilled, so I didn't pick this planner up until March. So I backfilled how I was tracking in a previous planner and just the same things that I usually do. The only other thing is that I'm averaging the steps that I take each week. So I'm tracking it in my weeks, averaging them here. And again, for useful information, just like, was I active? Was I not very? It tells a story when I look back. And so I appreciate that information, very neutral. This section down here, I have added the little Cafecito book stickers, and I'm just tracking pretty much the books that I'm reading, but not all of the books I'm reading, I think. I'm definitely wanting to have my book of the month down here, the ones that I've ordered, and then I just like to cross it off when I've read it. And then I also have a local book club, so I'm tracking the books we're reading for that. I'll just go ahead and skip to the back. I don't have it marked well, but I am using the 100 days page. The 100, I probably won't read 100 books this year, but I am marking off like January, what I read, February, March, and I'm aiming for like 3 books a month. That's kind of on par for me. I have not put the stickers up here. I intend to, but I just kind of thought, give myself 6 months and make sure that that's exactly what I want to do before I go ahead and pre-decorate the next 6 months. Here, I just went ahead and glued together the December page. I wasn't interested. There is a monthly December page here. You can't really tell, but I have glued those back to back because I'm not interested in using it. And then I backfilled this information, and while I was doing that, I just experimented a little bit with like how I want to track our information. So basically the way I see my months is I don't want them to be crowded. I don't even really want them decorated. I just want to be able to look at them and find information. So information like, when were we out of town? When did my husband travel? How many appointments did we have? Were the weeks busy? Were they not? That's what I'm hoping to glean from these monthly pages and really no more. So I have some very specific things. I have like these large dots show when our cleaners come. I have these circles here like when I have a hair appointment. So just things like that I can like track. It's just kind of nice to have the same symbol to look for from month to month. I add a small dot. I use the clean color dot. This is called Oatmeal, and it was part of a smoky pack. I can link that below. Anyways, that's kind of how I'm using the monthlies. And then as I went through, I continued to fine tune. And so the first few months I was like tracking, you can see tracking vacations and days that we were away via Tombow marker lines. And you can see I struggle with that a little bit. Even if I try to use like a ruler, it's like, maybe one side is straight, but the rest is kind of janky. So that was frustrating me. And so for April, I realized, I just want to use these dots, and they are from the planner spot. I'm using color codes to indicate, whether both of us are out of town, just my husband's out of town. But I did decide to go ahead and do that. And I also am doing that on my weekly pages. So for example, like this last week, we were out of town, both of us, and I just like the simplicity of that. And I think my eye will learn to like search for that instead of the long lines. I have not like pre-planned the month of April. I use my iCalendar a lot. That's what our family uses to track each other's schedules. So I really generally rely on that for the scheduling. I feel like this is becoming more of a place where I come back and note, this is what we did. There's kind of a balance. Sometimes it's nice for me to see the month laid out and kind of get a feel. So I kind of go back and forth, and I'm not afraid to write down things that I know are for sure coming, like certain appointments that I have. But I do feel like our schedule still kind of fluctuates a bit, so I don't like to go too far out and then end up being like, oh man, I've got to like cover it or, cross it out. Not the end of the world, but I prefer not to have to do that. So you can see like I have a few things noted for the coming months, and like some of these are just sticky notes. I'm not gonna be able to flip it up probably. But yeah, they're just like little flags that I can take or leave, and I like to plan it out like that. Yeah, and I wrinkle these pages like inevitably. It kind of frustrates me, but I'm always wrinkling them, and I just have to kind of come to terms with that. So I did backfill a little bit of the pages. I went through what my previous planner had noted, and I just want to say, like, I don't have a lot on these pages. Number one, I haven't had a very crazy schedule. Number two, I don't want everything on here, and I find myself adding little details of the weeks, and I kind of have to remind myself, pull back. I can do whatever I want in the dailies, but this I again just kind of like to see like an overview. I like to track my workouts. I like to track the food that we had for dinners, and honestly, I'm doing my steps over here, and all that's like kind of what my weeklies need to be for me. I use an app called Things. I think it's called Things, but I call it Things 3 because that's what it says on my little screen. And I love it. It allows me to schedule out reoccurring tasks. So like every Sunday, empty my cat's like litter box, little trash can we have for him, because Monday is trash day, so every Sunday get a little note on my phone. It has a little red notification, and you know how we all are like slaves to those little red notifications. So if I see that and it continues to be there on my phone, I'm going to continue to look at it throughout the day until it's gone, and I like it gone. So it's just so motivating to me. It just works. It's better for me than writing in my planner in the morning and then not coming back to my planner all day and then being like, oh yeah, shoot, I forgot to do that. So I am okay with my pages being simple. If I feel like coming back and telling more about the day, I can. I'm going to flip you through these very quickly. These I backfilled, so I really did not include much except for the information that I just really, really wanted, or things that I knew I wanted to refer back to. So I've kept it simple, and I'm happy with this. I feel like when I was looking back through my older books, I realized that sometimes the decoration can be distracting. Sometimes it's fun. It's like, oh, that week is unique because I see what was happening here or there. But sometimes I just like, oh, there's just certain information I want, and I just kind of like to see, when did I have appointments? I don't necessarily need to know exactly what I did throughout the rest of the day. There are times where I'm like, holy cow, what in the world did I do this week? So there I kind of go, oh, maybe I should start to add in a few of the other tasks that I'm completing just to kind of give me a better picture of like how I'm spending my days. But my daily pages are kind of filling that for me, so just still figuring it out and giving myself a lot of leeway just to move back in and to make this mine and not to feel like I'm tracking things, to fill space. I think it's important that you just kind of use the planner the way you want to, and not the way that like, oh, there's all this space, I need to fill this. It's like, I don't have to. I can just choose not to. Here is where I'm getting like a little bit more comfortable and familiar, and I'm testing out some things. I stamped this stamp onto clear sticker paper. I created this in Canva. It's on clear sticker paper. These are something I cut apart from a Studio Calico digital kit that I printed on clear sticker paper. So, I like this. I guess I just feel like I'm going to be doing a lot more of this clear sticker paper in the back of my book, so I might just want to leave my weeks like a little bit less than this. Don't know. So again, here you can see I couldn't help myself. I kind of had to add a few of those little stickers in here. But I do like it because it does allow me to get this stamped look. So it's a little bit of like, and it doesn't have to be the same from week to week. One week can have it, the other week cannot, and that's fine. This is where we are right now. I'm just wrapping up week 14 here in my Hobonichi, and you'll see that I don't have a lot ahead, but I do. This is one of the things I love about the Hobonichi, is that I kind of have a feel for how I'm going to be laying this out. So this is actually like a transparent sticky note, but it's a package I'm expecting, so I know that this is the corner where I track that. I don't follow these hours like perfectly. I just know that this is like my day, and like if I have an appointment in the morning, I'm going to put it higher, an appointment in the evening lower, but I'm still saving room for my meal plan and my workout sections. May or may not have washi at the top. Like, it's pretty, but sometimes I just like to take a break so it doesn't get too ledgy. I don't know the right word for that. I can feel the rumples under here, and I don't love that. I always like writing on this side more because it's a little bit smoother. So I'll keep that in mind as I proceed with my weeks and just remind myself that I don't have to do the colory stuff here. I can save it for later. Speaking of later, I have these little tabs from Gracie Edits. I like them. They're just like a little vellum tab. I stick them in line with wherever the little month is there. And this year, I started off the year doing Moxie Life, and so I really did work through like my goals for this year. She has like the color systems, so I'm starting to identify, you know, those colors and what they mean. This is like my yearly goal page, and ideally I'm coming through every month and kind of just revisiting and, you know, picking some of these that I could maybe tackle this month. So that's kind of the plan I'm looking forward to. And in April, I have set this page up, kind of hoping that I could like transfer some of these things, you know, that I really want to focus on this month. It's April 7th. I have yet to like complete this, but I have the idea. February really has nothing in here, but we do have a project. We're converting a rental property into more of an Airbnb situation. So I think I'll kind of use this entire month like to track that stuff, and I'll just know in my mind like if I have notes about that or ideas that I could come see February for that. That's kind of my thought. I got that idea from my friend Rebecca from Eat, Pray, Plan. Eat, Plan, Pray. Sorry, Rebecca, I can never remember. But she just was like using her January and February of her Hobonichi like for books, like bookish section, and like a practice section for her lettering. I thought that was really smart to just like be mindful, like so you'd always turn to that month when you want to seek out that information or do those things. So I don't really have a strong plan yet for January or February. I'll decide and assign those. I think that that's a nice idea. March is where I kind of started to move in, and so I just started like kind of a list here, and then I really didn't move in until this page. Or I was actually going to do like Sunday weekly recaps for my goals. I feel like that's not super realistic for me, but it is something that I need to revisit, so I'll kind of figure out my own schedule for that. But this is the first page that I did, and I don't like it, but I felt like I was just like sitting here with so much pressure. I'd just gotten my book, I think, this day, and I was like, oh, how do I want these pages to look? Oh, I need to figure it out. And I was like, no, you just got to write on here and just go. And so I did. You can kind of see I made a note to myself, and it was just like, just scribble, just write. And I'm going to flip through these very quickly. I don't intend for this to be a place that I share, but I wanted to give you guys a feel for like, I don't think that they're that great. This one turned out pretty. It's nice, but they're not all. And I am kind of just learning to be okay with that. Like some of them are better than others, and some of them I don't really want to look back on, and some of them I'm cool with looking back on them, you know? So like, I guess by sharing that, I just want to share that, you know, not every page is perfect, and that it's okay to like give yourself grace to learn and grow in your book. My thought is that I may end the year very differently than how I've started it, or I may not. I may just decide like, yeah, I can just do whatever I want in here. And as I create these pages, I'm not thinking about sharing them. So I really am just like, yeah, get your thoughts down. You know, use a sticker if it makes you motivated. Like it motivates me to kind of have that, and like brings a little bit of appeal to it. But otherwise, like this isn't necessarily the place where I'm the most creative. It's just a place where I have like some supplies. I'm using them. Those are all clear stickers. So this isn't like too thick. I think that I like literally stuck a pin in here and then like closed it on itself. So my book is like kind of janky right now. I've had it lying open on my desk too though. So I am going to shut it for a little bit and maybe even put something heavy on top of it to see if it will kind of go back to wanting to close and not being open right in the middle. I did want to mention, I do get questions about it a lot. I use my Uni Jetstream inks in any pen body that I can. I have a video about it. I will link it below. It kind of shares how I am able to use, you know, certain pens and just use the inks that I want with them. So like I'm a huge fan of the Uni Jetstream. It's a ballpoint, not a gel, so it dries very quickly on these pages. It dries on my clear sticker paper, which is huge, and I can write on that. And that's my go-to, and it will always be my go-to. This happens to be a Sarasa pen body, but every pen I'm using will always have like the Uni Jetstream ink inside. So both of these are examples. Like this is actually a pure malt. I don't even know which brand this pen is, but I thought it was cool looking, and I liked the fatter barrel. This one's very sleek. So I just pick ones that I think are attractive and that will also accommodate my ink refills. Wanted to mention that while I was thinking of it. Okay, so that kind of gives you a catch up for like what I'm doing in my planner and how I'm using each of those sections. And then now let's just chat really quickly about my Hemlock and Oak. So I could not decide this year if I wanted to do a Hemlock and Oak daily or if I wanted to do the weekly pages like I did last year. So I started off and I went for it. I did daily pages, and I have flip throughs of my January and my February already here. You can find those in my creative journal playlist probably. And so I've already flipped through those pages, but I have not shared March yet. And March, I totally just want to be up front. I hit a total wall. I don't know. I just didn't feel it anymore. I was like kind of losing steam. Anyways, I don't really have an explanation. It just was like I hit a wall, period. So I maintained the daily journal for a few days, and you can see there's just like holes in here, and it's just like I think I just didn't have a lot going on, and I just didn't feel like I wanted to talk about the same stuff over and over and over. So I did my best. I used a lot of these printables from the March digital kit from Studio Calico, and I started to work those in. I liked the way this page turned out. Lots of words, and just I think that that's great. I tried to, add some stickers. These are not normally here, but because I knew I might share these pages, I did cover them with some little flags to cover some information. I don't mind sharing stuff about me, but if I'm writing about someone else in my family, then I'm like, I'm going to give them the privacy for that. I think I mentioned it last time, but Hiba from My Little Journal teamed up with Studio Calico, and she created a Me, Myself, and I kit. So she gives you several prompts, and she sells like physical product, but they also sell a digital kit. So I have taken her, I think it's like a 3x8 page, and I have just printed them digitally on my sticker paper. So I'm periodically throwing that in. So I think I mentioned all this before, but just in case I haven't, here's her prompt list. So I have that tagged right here. And then as I do the prompts, I'm just noting the date. So I plan to do these throughout the year, just throw them in when I feel like it, when it feels appropriate. And so you're gonna see that that's kind of what I was flipping on here, was one of her prompts. So this entire strip right here is sticker paper that I've then written on. This turned out really cute. I liked these colors, but you're gonna note, this is where things switched. I had gotten behind, and instead of going through and trying to create a page for each of these days, I just realized nope, we're doing it all in one week. This is the format that I used all the last 2 years, and it's something I'm really familiar with. And so I was like, okay, we're going back to that until the mood strikes. And that's pretty much where I have remained. I have decided to finish the month of March in this weekly format. And if you look up here, you're gonna see that they're daily pages, but I just came through and basically drew little pencil lines to kind of notate the columns that would normally be there, stamped my dates, and then filled it accordingly with the stories of the week versus the stories of the day. It's working for me. I just don't believe that projects like this should be something that I feel pressured about. They should be something that's strictly enjoyable. And so for me, this is where I found enjoyment versus slave to my project. So, and I filled the space with some big things even here on a weekly. So you can tell I just really didn't have a ton to talk about. That, and coupled with the fact that I am telling a lot of my personal stories over in my Hobonichi Cousin, it's kind of this fine mix. So I feel like this is a place where I can just say anything and everything I want, talk about anything that's on my mind, literally journal. And then this is more of a place where I kind of hit the highlights, and I throw in some cute stickers and some things that will, make it attractive. I have this today marker in here, and it's not accurate, so I will pull that out. I do enjoy this. I knew I had this photo, so I tried to incorporate some red elsewhere. Again, I'm using a lot of the digital products from various Studio Calico kits. So I just purchased the digital, I print on clear sticker paper. I am even printing my photos on the clear sticker paper, and I kind of like it. You can see the grids through it. It's imperfect, and I embrace that right now. I'm just not looking for a project that requires perfection or even measuring or anything tedious. I'm just anything I can just slap down. That's my style right now. That's just where I need to be. So here's where I'm at. I am going to finish this daily page here. We were traveling, we were with our family, so there were stories to be told. I still have some more. Easter, again, we were with our family. I have some more things to add here. I just have not yet. And then we're moving into April, and I will potentially, I'm gonna go ahead and make this into a weekly format. So you can kind of see how I'm fluctuating it though. If I have things to be told for that day, I'm gonna go ahead and keep the day by itself. This one I specifically just did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is all day Friday. This is Saturday, Sunday. So I don't know, I'm kind of just liking the fluidity of that, and I have some undated daily pages that I can use if I want. I can use my regular daily pages. I'm not going to take apart my weekly book. I do have one, but I'm not going to take it apart to include here. I'm just going to turn the daily pages into weekly pages because I do like this project. I feel like it is a great way for me to I love coming and spending time, and like this one I focus more on like the things I'm grateful for. This one is primarily like the pros, and this one might include a few more of the cons, you know? So I like having a space for both, and then I feel a little bit more comfortable sharing this, like, hey, here's the highlights, and not because I want to paint a perfect picture. I never want to do that. My life has lots of ups and downs, but I do like to kind of guard a little bit of the stories I share here, specifically, like I said, about my family. So, yeah, this is kind of where I'm at, and I wanted to give that update. It is not complete. I haven't started April yet. Like I said, it's the 7th of April right now, so I'm clearly a little bit behind, but I am going to set this up more as a weekly style. And then these extra pages, again, like I could probably have enough extra pages that I could use them next year, and I'm okay with that too. Like I just don't feel like I have to have everything, you know, be perfect. It's okay. So you can see here that I do also have like some undated pages from a previous book. I have way too many Hemlock and Oak versions and varieties. I just could not decide what I wanted, so I like bought them all. And so I'm just mixing and matching them and gonna just make it work for me. Okay, and I just kind of wanted to share a little bit, like, so I mentioned that I'm using the kits from Studio Calico. I think I've shown you pictures of them before. I cut everything up. Oh, I wanted to share that. I actually just bought some rubbing alcohol because my scissors were getting super sticky from cutting so much of the sticker paper. I don't know if any of you have ever encountered that, but they were just like globbing up here. So I just cleaned my scissors all nice and good. They're good to go. But I cut a ton, and I'll cut this, for instance, and then I save this little scrap, and I can stamp on that and then add it to my planner or my journal. So I have a little pile of scraps over here to the side that I'm constantly pulling from. I just size match them to the stamp that I want. So it's not totally wasteful. But yeah, I just kind of keep this little assortment of stickers. Some of these are from the kit. Some of them are like Canva labels that I colored to match the kits. And you can see at the end of the month, like I kind of have like, okay, what's left here? And I have to be honest with myself, like, will I use this in the future? If so, I pull out my colored storage like this, and I put them in the appropriate color slots. So that's kind of how I store going forward. And then I like to pull out some new stickers that I've created from the latest kits. Now I'm showing you this because it accidentally printed on my white paper, but you can actually see it a little better. They do print out lighter on the clear sticker paper. So that is kind of a bummer because it's just the nature of the paper. It's not too much different, but it's a little bit different. You can see it's just not quite as vivid, but these are awesome. I like to cut these out. They make a nice big impact on my pages. The digital kit, like it comes with all these cute little, you know, they're meant to be like 3x4 scrapbook cards for, say, Project Life or something else, but I size them down they don't necessarily fit like perfectly in these columns. That's not my intention. I could size them even smaller so that they would fit, but I just like to size these down and just create stickers out of them, and I think that they're cute. And I mix this with some of the physical products that I add on to my stamp subscription. So I have the stamp subscription with Studio Calico every month, and I have the digital kit, and I print the digital kit here. I use the stamps as I'm planning, and I mix those in. Just thought I would share those. This was a digital, you know, piece, and the leaves were a digital piece. So I started to arrange them into like little floral arrangements, just took the little bits and pieces and just kind of like played with it, and I'm finding that that's really fun. Yeah, I just am enjoying that. So I have like a page of those. The colors, I have to say, like, that's the one thing I'm a little bit disappointed. I wish that they were a little bit stricter with their color schemes each month, because I like the idea of like using a color scheme each month. These, I would say, like they are using almost every color of the rainbow, some variety of it, you know, red, orange, yellow, green, blue. I would like to see that a little bit more tightly curated, I guess is the word, but it makes it easy. So I will, like you can see, I just went ahead and stamped out every color for March because basically the kit had every one of those colors, and then I used them in a variety of ways. Some of them I didn't incorporate all the colors, some of them I did. So April will be a little bit more condensed because I will be just doing the weekly pages in here, but I will be sprinkling these into my creative journal and into the back pages of my Hobonichi daily journal, because these stickers are very thin and I feel like my Hobonichi is taking that very well. And I will probably start to cut these out and create their own little bin for this month. And like I said, I do need to work on these. I'm gonna leave these out because some of the colors work from month to month, so I just leave them out and just keep incorporating them. I also printed out their digital labels. I really do like those, and you can see that that's what I used on that first April page in my Hobonichi Cousin, where I kind of wanted to set out my goals. I just took a whole sheet of those and just cut it to fit in my Hobonichi. I'm gonna keep using these guys. I love this one. I think it was just restocked recently, the On This Day. These are 2 new stamps that I ordered from Hiba at My Little Journal, the Sama alphabet and the Sama lower alphabet. They're so cute, and when you combine them, I feel like I used them somewhere. Let me show you really quickly. She shared a video, you should check hers out, and she showed how she was using them, and I thought they were so cute. Yeah, that Mustang is just kind of a mix of the upper and lower case. I really like that look. So those are gonna be really fun and something I wanna use this month. I'm really still enjoying this Overthinker stamp from Studio Calico. It just cracks me up. It's got a lot of fun. Like, hold on, let me overthink that. And this one says, trying to get out of my own way. I feel that. And this was one that I picked up last month from Studio Calico. It's the Simplify. Just super simple. And Elise, by design, like, she used this in an awesome, crazy way. I want to go back and figure that out because it was so graphic and cool. I really liked it. And then I have these monthly little stamps for April that I can incorporate on my pages as well. I already have used a few of them, like for Eastery stuff. Those are kind of like what I have set out, and my desk is typically pretty chaotic. Like, I have a lot set out because I just like to kind of eyeball and see like, oh, I could use that. Oh, I could use that. So this is like a very typical look of my desk, in case you're wondering. This is like scarily how I operate on a regular basis. But then I clean it all up and it feels good. Okay, I hope that kind of catches you up to the state of my planners and journals, and I appreciate you watching. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I hope that you can get inside your planner or journal today, and I will catch you on the next one. Thanks, guys. And honestly, it's getting a little bit, oh my gosh, my hands look like I'm 90. Wow. Washi up at the top.